Hello, it is I, your boy Gomi, and we are back in action for possibly what might be the most hype card of the year. Definitely going to be the biggest, if not one of the biggest cards in the entirety of the year. UFC 287, baby. It's going to be Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya 2, technically 4, and Gilbert Durinho Burns versus Jorge Masvidal, which should honestly be for the BMF belt. Should be a 5-round fight for the BMF belt. I don't know why they chose not to do that. That would have been perfect to sell this card even more. But oh well. We're going to be looking at this card, and oh man, I am excited for it because I will also actually be there live. So a little bit of a disclaimer. Between when this video goes up and the actual card, if there's any craziness or anything that happens, I won't be able to really I'll mention on Twitter if there's a change and on YouTube post, but I'm not going to be able to make an amendment video to it because I will be in Florida. So there's a little spoiler for you. I don't live in Florida because I'm going to be taking a flight there. But yes. Looking now briefly at the card before we get into the main event. Sam Hughes versus Jacqueline Amorim. I'm going to be leaning towards Jacqueline. I've not seen much of either of them before I've seen from them. Basically a fight each. I'm going to leave it to Jacqueline. Shalian, not even going to try. I apologize. Versus Steve Garcia. Again, this is, I will say it like this right now. The early prelims, other than this fight, are not the best. I'm going to be leaving towards Shalian, but also I kind of don't want to because he was basically gifted a free win and not really much we've seen from him has told us that he's going to be a top prospect or top talent. But Steve Garcia also we've not seen a lot of. Trey Ogden versus, my God, I'm not even going to try. I have respect for not butchering your name. We've seen a decent bit of Trey Ogden. I'm going to lean towards him. I'm a fan of Trey Ogden. Not like a huge fan, but I like what I've seen from him. And it's a catchweight bout, which should make it a little bit interesting. Cynthia Calvillo versus Lupi Godinez. People are really high in Lupi for her wrestling. People really are. But from what I've seen, she's not all that. I don't think she's all that. I'm actually going to lean towards the heavy underdog. I'm not going to, not heavy, but good, decent bit underdog. I'm surprised at that myself, but I just think we've seen a little bit better from Cynthia Calvillo, but don't expect it to be a banger. But I would love it if it was. GM3 versus Joe Pyfer. Now, every fight from here on out is a great fight in my opinion. I'm being 100% honest. That's why this card is so good, because every fight on here is like a casual's dream in terms of they're all probably going to be bangers or have potential to be them. GM3 versus Joe Pyfer. Now, Joe Pyfer is one of the big stars, big 3 prospects to come out of the last season of Contender Season, which was basically Raul Rosas, who's also fighting on the card, and also Bo Nickel. I like Joe Pyfer. I like his striking. I think he's got good power. But people are underrating GM3. People underrate him just because of the knockout that he suffered at the hands of Hamzat. But if you look at what he's done since he got knocked out by Hamzat, he's taken on some decent guys, and he's taken them out pretty good. Joko, didn't he just fight on PFL yesterday, I believe? But yeah, he's on a really good win streak other than the Joko fight. He's good. He's straight up really good. He just did get one punch by Hamzat Chimaev, so he's a little chinny. So that's why I feel Joe Pyfer should still be the favorite in this fight, because he could take him out. But GM3 also is the leading submission guy in terms of middleweight as well too. So we've not seen a lot of Pyfer's wrestling. We've mainly seen his striking. So who knows? I'm gonna lean towards Pyfer, but I put more of a pick him because honestly GM3 could take him to the ground and just drown him, take him sea level. Now, actually, this is not going to be Chris Barnett fighting. Chris Barnett is actually out of this fight. This is unupdated. It's actually going to be Carl Williams versus Chase Sherman. I lost a lot of love for that fight. I thought it would be way better with Chris Barnett, and actually, believe it or not, I was actually going to pick Chris Barnett. I'm not going to lie. Chase Sherman ain't all that. He really double-digit losses, and he's not on a good streak really. He's on a 1-loss streak. But I think in terms of Chase Sherman versus a off the couch Carl Williams, I'm going to be leaning towards Chase Sherman. So I think of these odds, Carl Williams versus Chase Sherman. I like those odds specifically. The Karate Hottie versus Luna Pinheiro. I like Waterson Gomez. I like Michelle Waterson, but I think she's just too old for this game. Like women's MMA, unless you're Holly Holmes, the older you get, the just less competitive it's going to be. I'm going to go with Luana, to be honest with you. I feel she can get it done with better grappling overall, but I don't think it's going to be a finish of a fight, but I feel like it might be a little bit of a banger low-key. Michael Chiesa is not fighting Li Jilang. Also was pulled off the card. Li Jilang is not going to be fighting. They basically, as of right now, have less than a week to pick who's Michael Chiesa is going to be fighting. I saw that awful April Fool's joke of it being Joaquin Buckley, because that would have been great. I would have loved to see that. Like, do a catchweight bout or a middleweight bout with Michael Chiesa and Joaquin Buckley. It'd be fun as hell. But I don't know what we're doing. I really hope Michael Chiesa fights on the card, to be honest with you, because he's not a big name, but he's a big enough name that just add more excitement to the card. And I really like the Li Jilang fight. Oh, well, let's hope he gets a fight. The Action Man Curtis versus Kelvin Gastelum. Now, I'll tell you straight up. This is an insult to both these guys. Why the hell is Rosas on the main card? Versus Christian Rodriguez, who's had, what, 2 fights in UFC? Yeah, 2 fights. Why on earth are we going to be having that on the main card over Chris Curtis versus Kelvin Gastelum? 2 guys who always bring it, always go down to wars. Kelvin Gastelum is a part of one of the greatest fights in all of MMA history against the guy in the main event. But let's... All right. The problem though with Kelvin Gastelum has not been the same since that Israel Adesanya fight. He also has been only losing to like the best other than Darren Till. Oh, I hurt to say that. But Kelvin Gastelum, I feel he can beat Curtis if he's the Gastelum that showed up that fought Izzy 4 years ago, which I don't think he's going to be honest with you. So I'm actually gonna lean towards Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis, we've seen though, he's a low volume guy. He's more so a sniper, aims for like to basically take you out with 1 or 2 shots. We see this against Buckley, where Buckley was outworking him, but Curtis had the power. I don't think he's going to knock out Kelvin Gastelum because as much as his skills have been declining, he's still just a tank, an absolute fridge, hard to put away. But oh man, this is going to be a fun fight. Kelvin still has some pretty clean boxing overall. Curtis is not a guy who goes to the ground. I don't see Gastelum shooting takedowns. Even if he does, I think Curtis is going to be a little bit too hard for him to take down to the ground. Overall, potential fight of the night. Absolutely potential fight of the night. I don't think it will be, but it has the potential to be one. And that's going to be a fun fight. That should be on the main card. Now, for the main card, as you guys know, I will be breaking these down in my videos separately. But Rosas Jr. versus Rodriguez should be fun. I'm not a huge fan of Rosas, to be honest with you. He seems kind of cocky, to be honest with you, and putting him on the main card of this card is just way too big of an ego boost, I feel. But he's far younger than me. He could kick my ass, and I feel Rodriguez is not going to be the dude to humble him. That should be a fun fight. Kevin Holland versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. I'm not high on Ponzi. I know a lot of people are really hating on Holland for some reason. I really don't know why. Because he chose to have a fun and exciting fight with Wonderboy. He knows he's not going to be champion, but he still wants to throw down and put on bangers for the fans. But I'm not high on Ponzi. His days are behind him, but that should still be a fun fight. Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez is actually what I feel might be the best fight of the night, to be honest with you. I was once upon a time very high on Font, but age just got to him. Yanez, I'm very high in Yanez's boxing. His boxing is crisp and clean. But it's not like he's been flawless in UFC. We've seen him get touched up. He granted, toughed it out, pulled through. But still, being tough isn't the key to being the best. Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal. Oh, God, that's going to be crazy. That arena's going to blow up for that. They have Masvidal, Burns. That's going to be a great fight. I really like Burns and not a fan of Masvidal, but yeah, watch my video if you want to see what I think about that. And then the main card, the main fight. Israel Adesanya will be rematching his arch enemy, the guy who's knocked him out twice, beat him once, Alex Poatan Pereira, the middleweight champion of the world. You guys know me. You know who my favorite fighter is. It's Izzy. Izzy's my favorite fighter. I've been high on Izzy since his kickboxing days, before he even got signed to UFC. I found him like a little bit before he got into UFC. Followed him since. What solidified him as my favorite was that war against Gaslam. Like, he rose. I saw that war against Gaslam. Like, I love this guy. He's had some boring fights in his title reign, but like, people, the only fight that was truly awful was the Yoel Romero fight. That fight was horrible. I don't even want to talk about that. But other than that, like, his fight against Blachowicz was pretty fun. His second fight against Vettori had some fun moments. It did kind of like devolved at the end where Vettori just was so dead set getting a takedown. Whitaker 2 was honestly a little boring, but that was just because Whitaker hurt his hand and was not throwing any right hands. You could count how many right hands Whitaker threw in that fight, and you could count it on, I think, with just 2 hands. The Cannonier fight was not bad. Like, for example, people are comparing it to Rose Namajunas versus Carlos Esparza 2. Izzy alone threw more strikes than both of them combined in that fight. And then the Pereira fight was great. The third Pereira fight. I love Izzy, but Poatan. It's about Poatan. He is the champion. He is deservedly the champion. There's no BS. There's no fluke. Yes, he was losing most of that fight, but he came out and he knocked him out. Alex Pereira, we're going to be starting with him and his keys to victory. We've seen a lot of his keys to victory. We honestly have. We've seen not much of him from in the UFC and in, honestly, MMA in general, but what we've seen is his skills in kickboxing transition very nicely and very cleanly to MMA. His grappling's not really there. His grappling is actually pretty poor, to be honest with you. It's actually pretty poor. The fact that most of the third fight against Adesanya, he was controlled by Izzy in the grappling exchanges. Now, Izzy is underrated in grappling, but it's not like he's a grappling god, or it's not even like he's even really good. It's just that his grappling is good enough that he's able to not get absolutely and totally wrestle fudged by top wrestlers like Marvin Vettori and Robert Whitaker at middleweight. But we've seen if he goes up to light heavyweight, he can absolutely get badly out wrestled. Though also Jan Blachowicz outstruck him as well too. He didn't just win him in terms of the wrestling exchanges. But whatever the case is, Poatan, his grappling is not the best, but his striking, elite. Absolutely elite. His key to take out Izzy is high volume, high pressure. He could be like, he doesn't even have to really be smart with it, to be honest with you. He can be, but he doesn't have to be, because I feel his power is too much of an equalizer. I feel he's one of the pound for pound hardest hitters in the UFC, to be honest with you. I'm not going to overrate him though, like, because some people are going to say, oh, he'd easily make quick work of Jamal Hill or Yuri Prohaska. I think you guys are insane for saying that. He would not make easy work of those guys. Those guys are tanks as well too. But I feel he could be pound for pound punching up with top light heavyweights, to be honest with you. His left hook is unnatural. It's absolutely unnatural. What is that? He's a predominantly right-handed fighter who fights orthodox, yet his hook, his left lead hook, can do that much damage. People don't expect that, because when people expect power shots, they expect it to come from the rear, not from the front. Why does it just knock people out? We saw this in his fight against Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland had an awful game plan. Honestly, Sean Strickland could have... Light heavyweight, what? Sean Strickland, honestly, could have wrestled Poatan. I feel like he would have had some really good success against him like that. I'm going to be honest, you know, I don't think he would have won, but he could have had way better success than he did in that fight. But he fought him like a dumbass, went up there with an outdated Muay Thai stance, and he just got clocked. Cleaned his clock. One shot, and he was done. Easy money for me too, because I don't know why on earth Pereira was an underdog. I'm not even sure why he's an underdog in this fight, to be honest with you. But man, he's got a lot of equalizing power. I was so excited about this fight, I realized I didn't even look at the tail of the tape. Yes, Alex Pereira, middleweight champion. He's going to be 35 years of age, 7-1 MMA record, 6 knockouts, 0 submissions, 6'4" in terms of height, orthodox stance, 79-inch reach disadvantage, but only person in middleweight to really come close to Izzy's reach advantage other than Cannonier. 0.33 takedown average, a 67.49% significant strike accuracy, but keep in mind that's off a very small sample size of how little fights he's had in MMA. If you were to have the same amount of fights as Izzy, he'd probably have, honestly, the same accuracy as him, probably a little bit higher. He's a plus 120 underdog. How is he an underdog, man? Like, don't get me wrong, I love Izzy. How is Pereira an underdog? Regardless, he has significant wins over the man he is facing, the former champion Israel Adesanya, Sean Strickland, and Bruno Silva. How on earth did Bruno Silva survive against that man to a decision, by the way? Sitting across from him is his, I don't even call arch enemy, honest, you could just keep taking him out, but his longtime enemy, the guy this dude hates the most with a passion. He's the ultimate hater for him, Israel, the last stylebender, Adesanya. 33 years of age, 23 wins, 2 losses, 15 knockouts, 0 submissions, 6'4" in terms of height, switch stance, 80-inch reach advantage, a 0.06 takedown average. I believe that one takedown was against Pereira. A 54.13% significant strike accuracy, negative 140 minus 140 favorite. I keep saying negative. I've noticed this in my life that I always say negative. I've been gambling for so many damn years, but my brain just will not let me say plus or minus. It will not. He's have significant wins over Robert the Reaper Whittaker, 2. Marvin Vettori, 2 times. Paulo Costa, Jared Cannonier, and honestly, far more. We're going to talk about Izzy now, but Israel Adesanya, win or lose, has one of the best records, one of the best resumes in MMA, because he also has wins over Yoel Romero, Kelvin Gastelum, Anderson Silva, Derek Brunson, Brad Tavares. These are all good fighters, by the way. Rob Wilkinson just won in the PFL the other day. Israel Adesanya is a beast. He is great, and he gets so hated on for no reason. He was a champion. One of the reasons why I also continue to just grow my love for Israel Adesanya is as a champion, he's exactly what I want to see. He induct fights. He picked the hardest fights. He wanted to fight everyone in the division. He fought often. He fought 3 times in 2021. 2022. He fought 3 times. What other UFC champion fought 3 times? None of them. Israel Adesanya is an absolute beast. He is amazing. He has phenomenal skills. A lot of people as well too say he's a decision king. He has more knockouts than he has decisions. I love this guy. His striking is on point. It is near flawless. That's the reason why Poatan beat him, because Poatan cracked through that one minor kink he had in his offense and his striking skills. Israel Adesanya absolutely has keys to winning this fight. He absolutely does. There is avenues for him to win. I can kind of see why he's a favorite. I don't think he should be, honest, just because of what we've seen. Israel Adesanya, in all of his fights against Alex Pereira, has hurt him. People disregard that fact, but the honest truth is, Israel Adesanya, in the many rounds he's fought against Alex Pereira, has won more rounds than Pereira has. In their first fight, it was a split decision. A lot of people thought Adesanya won that. I actually don't think he did. I think Pereira won that. Regardless, it was a split decision. Adesanya arguably won 1 to 2 rounds. First fight, Adesanya won both the first 2 rounds, in my opinion. He even 10-8'd Pereira because he got a standing 8 count. He almost took him out, almost finished him. Then he got knocked out 3rd round. Then in the last fight in MMA, he almost finished him again in round 1. Almost the same way, by the way. We're going to talk about that in a second. He lost round 2, won round 3 and 4 easily. And that's it. Got knocked out again. He's won more rounds against Pereira than has. But he just can't finish it. But he comes close. And the reason he comes close but doesn't finish him are both 2 sides of the same coin. He does damage to Pereira when he has high pressure and he works with that right hand. That right hand is money against Pereira. I watched in that 3rd fight, he just kept beaming him with it over and over again. In the first round, he hurt him bad with that. That right hand for Izzy is a laser, but he doesn't throw it enough. That's the problem with Israel Adesanya. That's his main weapon, is that right hand and high pressure. When he pressures him highly, he does damage and he comes close to winning. But his problem is he has this thing in the back of his mind where he wants to go for a decision. He honestly wants to have a flawless, clean performance. Israel Adesanya, if he just goes out there and fights like a near madman, I think he can actually beat and finish Alex Pereira. Honestly, we've seen it. If he goes out there and he blitzes him, if he's vicious with it, his offense is completely and totally on point. He could take him out. He heavily relies on his counter-striking. Now, he has two types of counter-striking. The one he did in the second fight against Vettori and Cannonier, where it was honestly passive counter-striking. These guys pressed most of the action. In his first fight against Whitaker and Costa, he had offensive counter-striking. Now, these guys mainly pressed the action, but Israel Adesanya poked and prodded them to do that. You generally via leg kicks, but also a little bit of jabs here and there and hooks against Whitaker. He pressured them to force them to fight him, and then he counter-blitzed them. If Israel Adesanya does that the same way, he could beat and finish Pereira, because Pereira's been hurt in all of his fights. Pereira is also a little bit older, but don't think Adesanya is any spring chicken, but he's a little bit older, and that weight cut's going to be hurting him. Yes, the size and him being a weight bully heavily factor in as an advantage for Pereira, but he was cutting weight during the Sanhagen and Chito Vera fight. He was cutting weight that far out, that can't be healthy. So you know what you do? You go to his head. He's going to be super lightheaded. He's going to be super weak. He's busy rehydrating. You just go to that head. You throw everything you have. Be ready for the counters. Be ready for your shots. But Adesanya, if he keeps shooting out that right hand, maybe even modify from a straight right to an overhead right hand, he could do some damage to Pereira. And those are his main avenues. A lot of people saying, oh, Izzy's got to wrestle. He did so good at wrestling. Yes, he did, but that was the element of surprise. Pereira really didn't think he'd be wrestling. But no, he's not going to win against Alex Pereira by being Israel Nurmagomedov. He's going to win against Pereira by being a monster in terms of pure offense and just a little bit of tactical defense. But honestly, I really feel he should focus on that because he's taken Pereira's biggest shots. The only thing that really got Adesanya out there, honestly, was a shot he didn't expect, which was actually his straight right. Pereira did not knock out Izzy with the left hook. That was ultimately what the last shot to hit him with, but what really started the ending sequence was actually a straight right from Pereira, which Izzy just didn't expect because he barely threw that during the fight. And Izzy was compromised by Alex Pereira's excellent leg kick defense. He actually checked one of Israel Adesanya's kicks, hit his cranial nerve. That just killed his movement and momentum. Pereira fought that fight exactly how... I won't say exactly. He fought that fifth round how he should have. He was very solid with his defense, and his offense was on point. Israel Adesanya, he didn't have enough faith in his offense. Simple as that. He got comfortable, and he thought, if I keep pressing with offense, there's a chance he might finish me. Oh, lo and behold, Pereira went out there for that finish. Israel Adesanya goes out from that finish round 1. I could see him getting a finish, honestly, round 2 or 3. But if he fights the same way he's fought every single one of those fights, and every fight in his title defense reign, Pereira wins. Who am I picking for this fight? You know me. You know I want to pick Israel Adesanya. I think he could win, but I'm going to hope this happens like the Leon Edwards Usman thing. I picked Usman, but my heart wanted Leon. I hope it's the same way. So right now, the number one Israel Adesanya fanboy, he's going to be picking Poatan to finish this fight. I'm going to go by 5th round KO. But oh god, that's not what I want to see when I'm going there live. So yeah, if Pereira wins, if you hear someone loud, ugly crying in the audience, it's probably me. If Izzy wins and you hear someone just blowing out his vocal cords, that's probably me. But yes, Let me know what you think of the stacked UFC card. I expect a lot of people go laugh at me in the comments section and tell me how Israel Adesanya is washed and going to lose against Pereira. Go ahead. Let me hear it. I just want some discourse and discussion. This has been your boy Gomi. Be sure to like and subscribe for more UFC 287 coverage. Bye-bye.